Yeah, this is like,
If they're a lifeguard, they have lifeguard certification through Red Cross.
Okay. And that's all that Allison did.
No, she was a pool manager. There's a Red Cross pool manager certificate.
But they don't have to have.
No, and then they have
Got a little more information to share.
Yeah, there's a lot of, you know, and yeah, volunteers could.
David,
is he coming?
I got your back. I would assume so. We can disagree face to face.
Yeah, I think so. I think you need to talk.
Well,
Mike should be watching
yeah,
that and see if the chair.
he had to do some more checking on some other things also. I don't know if he got that done.
Yeah, I don't think they should pull their chairs and flop together either.
Got any shot?
Like,
No, I go Monday. Which one you get? Whatever they're giving at the health department. I don't know if it's the Moderna or the... You're not going to do the one shot. No. No, because I signed up and finally got an appointment, so I'm just going to go ahead.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you, my mom got her second shot this week. She had no side effects on the first. Where are they at? They're on the hallway? She didn't even have a headache or anything.
Good.
So,
My first one was a little worse than the second one. I didn't have a problem with it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Never had a fit of it.
Really?
Guess I better. They said I should wait a little bit.
Yeah,
but
no, I agree.
But my wife's gonna go do that Johnson & Johnson, is what she's
And
gonna
then if somebody wants to surrender,
do. Just you don't have to do it as far as the second.
I think they even could put a couple more chairs up there if they wanted to, but just the fact that it needs to be
just trying to keep them social
distance.
Yeah, if it'll keep me out of the hospital, that'll do it.
Well, Mike's here.
Cali, are you ready?
I think he's one that should, aren't you?
I mean, we still got 3 minutes, but are you ready to go? Cleve, are you ready to go in 3 minutes?
I'm ready to go in 3 minutes, yeah.
Patty, are you ready to go in 3 minutes?
Nope, I don't either.
I have never, I don't.
Huh?
Dave,
Does that mean we
ready to go in about 3 minutes?
get a cup of coffee or something?
Yeah.
Sure, why not?
Okay. Jim, how about you? Into the breach, boys, into the breach. Sounds good.
It's in the car. You need it?
How you doing, Jerry?
I
Jerry.
was looking.
How you doing?
He can't hear squat.
Well, I got my hearing aid on and I cranked them up a little. Now it's too noisy.
Oh,
Yeah.
As I say, there's one big one. Doesn't matter what you do. Okay.
You're on a man.
I'm getting glares from some people.
I understand.
I'm getting glares from some
Oh, yeah, there's
people.
little-
Oh, well. I
These
just don't
little
look at
tiny
them.
ones. Are these
They're
mint?
peppermint. These are cinnamon.
These are neat. Little tiny.
You have to look for these little cans, but most of the places they have.
There he is.
alcohol
I've got a little
cans.
No,
There
Smith
is
does.
one. Any volunteer?
I usually don't buy the little ones, but Gail always buys them. They're nice to stick in your
Yeah.
pocket.
we could probably find grants and stuff.
The other one's too big, and plus they rattle around. so
Yeah, it's gonna kill you. And every grant, yeah, they'll give you the money to build it, but they won't give you a dime to keep it up.
Maintain it and everything else, yeah.
Trails, beach pond, all of that.
Great, but yeah, they're gonna dump.
They were all closed.
It comes back on the
Oh.
city.
So nobody can see this from the outside.
And the only way we can maintain it is tax.
Yeah, that's what, now, did you guys read that? And it wasn't 20 years. I talked to the guy today, and he went through
Have you
that
heard anything
process.
about Ryan?
and that funding, but on the, they tried.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's like,
He's on leave, isn't he?
You know what they used that?
they're kicking him out?
They went.
I thought he was on a.
Oh, he's on leave.
Okay, we'll go ahead and call the Parowan City Council meeting to order for March 11th, 2021. First off, I want to tell everybody thank you for coming out. We do appreciate it, and it's good to see all your faces. Some ground rules I'm going to kind of lay down for the meeting tonight. if anybody has any comments, they will be able to make those comments during the public comments. Once the public comments has been closed, there will be no more comments made. If you can keep those comments to a minimum of at 2 minutes, I will call out at 30 seconds when your time is coming close. I would ask that any comments be civil and let's just keep it civil. So with that, we'll go ahead and start our meeting. We'll turn the time over to Cali Bassett. She's going to say our prayer and our pledge.
Our kind and loving Heavenly Father, it's with humble gratitude that we come before Thee this evening, with gratitude in our hearts for the opportunity we have to live in this great nation that allows us the privilege of holding open and public meetings where we can discuss the business of our community. We're thankful to live in this beautiful valley and in this community where our neighbors are our friends, where people reach out to each other and care for and take care of each other. We're thankful for our police department and our first responders, those who put their lives on the line to protect and serve us. We are grateful for them. We're thankful this evening for our elected officials who have been voted into office by the people of this community. We're thankful for the good people that they are, for the kind hearts that they have, for the time that they've lived here in Parowan, and for the families they have raised here. We are thankful that they work daily for the betterment of Parowan City. Father, we ask at this time that Thy Spirit, Thy light, and Thy peace may fill this council chamber. May each of us experience minds that are enlightened, hearts that are softened, emotions that are tempered, and tongues that are quelled. May we have a peaceful discussion. We pray that Thou will bless our council members, our mayor, that they may be guided and inspired in the things that they discuss this evening. May we each understand that contention, anger, hate come from Him who knows no light. May we strive to keep our community together. This is our prayer this evening in the name of Thy Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
Would you please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? Ready, begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Thank you, Cali.
Cali?
Cali, thank you.
Beautiful, thank you.
All right. Do we have any declarations of conflict or personal interest with any of the agenda items by any of the council members?
I do, Mayor. On the warrant register, there is one in there that I will not be voting on. We did some work on a police vehicle. I do have the contract
Yeah.
for the state of Utah for Iron County
Okay.
so I'll be voting on the rest, but not that.
Okay. All right, thank you. Anyone else? No. Okay, at this time, we'll go ahead and open up the meeting for public comments. So just so you're aware, if anyone comes up to the podium, I've asked that the council meetings not respond to anything tonight, so don't feel offended or feel like we're being rude if you don't get a comment from us tonight. So the floor is open to anybody that wants to come up and talk. Vicki, if you want to come to the podium, please.
Hi guys, it's nice to see you all again.
It's good to see you, Vicki.
Thank you, it's nice to be here. I'm just here to ask the council to take into consideration, I've heard a lot of discussion and shared with a lot of the folks in the community that there's a huge concern over what's going on, of course, with the pool. And I wanted to ask the council if you'll just take a few minutes, take a deep breath, and I know how difficult it is sitting in that chair. I've been in there, I know what it's like. And I ask you to just take a second and listen to the public, and without emotion, without pain, without personal affront, come to it and talk to the community about what is really necessary here. We're all concerned. We want to know what the thought process was behind this decision, and if this decision can come to maybe another more amicable agreement. That's all I'm asking.
All right, thanks, Vicki.
Thanks, Vicki.
Anyone else? Yeah, we're not.
Oh, that's right. Lynn's in between each one.
Listen, the less you touch it.
What's that? They need to state their name. Okay. Didn't matter who it is.
Can I pull this down?
Yeah, if you can do me a favor and just state your full name for the record, please.
Okay. My name is Cheryl Mybus. I've spent the last 16 years working for an organization that specializes in treating behavioral and mental health issues in teens and young adults. While I'm not a mental health expert, and I don't consider myself to be one, I'm exposed daily to the mental health crisis that surrounds us. Suicide rates are skyrocketing in Utah, and acute psychiatric hospital beds are at or near capacity. Unfortunately, according to the Utah Department of Health, suicide rates in Utah are consistently higher than the national average. Mental, emotional, and behavioral disorders among youth cost the nation $247 billion annually due to crime, health services, and lost productivity. Screen time has also been identified as a risk for mental health issues. Students who play video games or use computers for non-school related activities for 3 or more hours a day are twice as likely to have considered suicide compared to those who do not. Unfortunately, our children don't live in a world that you and I grew up in. Often, parents work outside of the home and kids default to the use of digital resources. As a financial accountant and CFO, I have used the phrase, cash is king, many times. In the case of the operation of the Parowan pool, I don't believe that this is purely a financial decision. Research shows that spending time outside and participating in recreational activity protects against mental health problems, decreases depression, and improves self-esteem and cognitive function in young people. Shutting down the pool for 3 or more years may not seem like very long to you and I, but to Susie down the street, it could be the one thing that she was able to get out and do consistently this summer. As leaders and citizens of Parowan, it's our responsibility to protect our children and youth and provide them with the best opportunities we can for them to be successful.
30 seconds.
I've seen firsthand what this little community can do when it comes together as I participated in the Parowan Strong movement. I very much appreciate the council's initiative in exploring the feasibility of a new pool, and I'm excited for the possibilities that this could bring to our community. But tonight I'm asking the council to please consider, 1, rescinding the motion to shut down the Parowan pool as it exists, 2, organizing and empowering a committee tasked with working closely with Parowan city administrators and employees to review the pool's operational budgets, finding ways to reduce costs and continuing to operate, and 3, empowering a committee tasked to do a feasibility study on future options and available grants for a new pool and recreation center. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Bob Whitely. I just actually had a question real quick, because on the agenda it's got public comments, and then in the work meeting you've got number 7, Parowan swimming pool discussion, A, pool committee, B, public input received. I've been to a lot of meetings. I don't want public comment to be confused with what's actually on the agenda. and I don't think people that are in the
Right.
hall want that confusion either.
Okay, and so with the pool committee, that's what we're discussing tonight, is putting a committee together to evaluate what was just discussed, to the feasibility of it, the cost, and other things. And as far as the public input, that was just what we were going to discuss as far as the input that we've received through email as to what people, kind of the direction that people are kind of looking at going as far as indoor pool, outdoor pool, or a combination of both.
So if someone wanted to comment, it'd be during the public.
It's going to be, yes, it's going to be...
Do it now.
Right, it's going to be, yes.
Yep.
It'll be, this is the time, if you have any comments, to comment, please.
Thanks, Bob. Good point.
Megan Gatlin, and I'm glad that there's not any comments from the council tonight, because I was not treated nicely last time after I gave very professional comments about the pool staying open during COVID. I am a mental health professional. I've been a school counselor for 8 years. I have a master's degree in educational psychology, and I second everything that Mrs. Mybus said. The pool is an outlet for kids. It needs to be here, and closing it is not going to help them. And I can tell you from the minutes in the last meeting, the lady that commented first, you know, it was said that the pool's a money pit. This is from minutes from last meeting, and there really aren't set plans going forward, just closing the pool and saving the money from summer to summer and figure out opening a new one, but not really any time frame. Also said that there's tons of maintenance that needs to be done, which is not true. Alice got everything ready so it could open last summer. She jumped through every loophole that was put out there, and the pool was safe, safer than it's been in years for kids to swim there. And then when she was let go, if there's been something, if the chlorinator didn't get pulled out and is frozen, that's you guys' fault, not her fault. And so there weren't any repairs that needed to be made. She had the pool people in there, the health official, everything's at the pool that's saying everything's safe and checked off. So I think that what's being represented from the council is not accurate to the public, and it's not fair to the public, and we can't just go turn on our water and let our kids run through it, because it's a fortune, and then we're paying the city money that we could be paying you to have the pool open.
Okay, 30 seconds.
And it needs to be open. I'm like super heated and I'm keeping it calm, but we need to keep the pool open, and the council needs to respect the public as much as you want respect from us. And what Mrs. Mybus said about working with the committee is a great idea, but the pool needs to be open while that happens. Pools are money pits for communities. It's just the way it is.
All right, thank you for your comments.
You take tips.
I feel like Vicky's watching.
Anyone else?
Am I okay to bring this down?
Yeah.
Because I'm a little short. For those of you guys that don't know me, I'm Rochelle
Okay.
Toppin, and I have been a resident here in Parowan for the last 24 years. What I would like to discuss is the closing of the city pool without input from the residents of Parowan and the impact that that is going to have on us. I can understand that the pool is old and has been around for a long time, and I understand that there are costs associated with keeping that pool running. I don't disagree with you that it would be awesome to have a new pool and a better pool, but what I do have a hard time with is that the pool was simply shut down with no concrete plan in place to replace it. What we have here is a dream of hopefully one day of building a new one. When we look at what we have for our youth to do in Parowan, it is very slim. The one thing that these kids look forward to when school gets out is that the pool is open. This is where they gather all summer with their friends. This is where adults do lap swim and aerobics. It also gives employment opportunities to young adults during the summer. This is where the kids take swimming lessons. Now we are being told that we have to drive our kids to Cedar to do swim lessons and other activities, and that's not right. We shouldn't have to be doing that. We have parks, we have libraries, we have paved roads, and we have pools. We don't have all of these things in our town to generate money. We have them because it makes our quality of life better to live in this town, that we all love to live here. We want to be able to have our future generations and those that are moving into Parowan and raising their families here to have the same opportunities that we did as kids and that our kids had as well. The pool has been a big part of our community for many years. I really could go on and on, but I really want to do is to urge you. You are the governing body that can take another look and undo your vote to close the pool. To really take into consideration what the residents of Parowan are saying and that are wanting. Closing down the pool so hastily without a concrete plan in place and without community input is not right.
Okay, 30 seconds.
Let's open the pool this year, and while we do that, let's come up with a concrete plan, let's write it down, and let's find out what it's going to take to get a new one built. Let's look into all avenues. If we need to do fundraising, look into grants that we can apply for, then let's do it. But shutting it down in hopes that one day that we can replace it is not a plan, it's a dream. And the money that we think that we are saving by not opening the pool will be spent elsewhere. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Nobody else out there is
Okay.
I'm Lynn Johnson. I don't usually get up and like to talk publicly, so I was the assistant manager at the swimming pool last year, and I'm a little frustrated because you guys say that it was unsafe, but I don't think I would like to have a report, and I think us community people deserve that report. I think that wasn't done yet. When I worked there, everything was safe, and there are procedures that need to be done to close the pool, to keep it safe for the next summer, and that might not have been done because you guys let Alice go. So, but I think that we should have a pool for the kids. Working there last summer, we were full all the time. We were under COVID rules, and we followed those, and I do believe that we should get a new pool, but keep this pool open. It is safe for the kids to swim in, and they need to learn how to swim. I think that's a crucial thing. Alice taught my kids how to swim, and kids need to learn that. So I feel like the pool should be open and until we can get a new pool. So.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else before we move on?
Still wet from the last?
Hi, I'm Pauline Applegate. I have a few comments to share tonight. My feelings. Our best investment we can possibly make is to our children, and it might take some money. I know we have some money we could find to help our children to have fun in the summers, to get over this COVID and the shutdowns we've had. So there's a couple of things. The swimming pool is a great thing to have. I've had people come from Cedar to our Parowan pool. They love to come from Enoch. They love to come to Parowan pool. And so I didn't know until today. I'm sorry I don't keep up I'll have to be better at reading the agenda. But I just encourage you, please don't shut down the pool. It's detrimental to our children. Also, I have another thing is I live across from the Parowan City fishing pond. And that is a wonderful place for kids to come and fish and have a good time. But I'll tell you, last year, there were dead fish because they take the water for the farms. In the summer, they were to let that water run into the pool every week. There should have been water running into that pool. And so the fish, they turned it off. They didn't ever run it in. There was maybe once or twice that they ran that water in. And so the fish died. And we had just like 3 feet of dead fish around that pond and stink like crazy. And people come by and ask if there's a disease here in Parowan. What's going on that there's so many dead fish? So we have that as a fun thing for our children to do, but it's not maintained, it's not taken care of. And there needs to be something done that lets that water run into there at least weekly in the summer, so it's not a dead sea there. It is just hideous.
Yeah, in 30 seconds.
And so I encourage the council to care about our children, to invest in them, to keep the pool open, to make that fishing pond be available for the summer. They can go and catch fish. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Pauline.
Anyone else?
Hi, my name is Stephanie Robinson. I'm from Parowan. I moved away for 14 years, but I've come back, and it'll be 7 years that I've been back. And I actually, when I lived in Enterprise, I brought my 4 kids to learn how to swim here in Parowan because it's such a good place, and the water's warm, and everybody loves warm water. No one hates cold water. And I just would really hope that we could keep this pool opened until we had a plan in place, because we don't know how long it will take. We know how bids go. We know how things happen, how long it takes. And I think even just one summer is a really hardship for our kids to not have a swimming pool. And I just think the pool needs to please think of keeping it open until we have another plan, until it starts building. If that's what the majority of the public wants, is a new pool, or indoor and outdoor, but that needs to be voted on for what the people want and what they want as a community. Because if everybody wants an indoor, great. But if everybody wants an outdoor, great. But it has to be something that we vote on and that everybody's on the same page. Because swimming is a life skill. And my kids learned how to swim here, and I don't want that taken away. And I just think it's kind of sad that we are thinking about closing it down without a plan in place. I think there needs to be a plan. And everything takes a really long time. To build something takes at least 1.5 years to 2 years. So I just would hope that we could keep the pool opened until we have a plan. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Anyone else?
There's a couple more now.
Okay.
So I'm Lexi Gatlin. I actually worked as a lifeguard at the Parowan pool, and it's, as Mayor said, it's the safest it's ever been in years. We got those coping stones in, and those have been cracked forever, and they were finally safe this year. And it was so fun, like seeing all the kids and everyone in the community with all the COVID regulations. We wouldn't have seen them otherwise. It's a social aspect, and really does help people in their mental health. I've seen it in little kids. They are so happy to come to this pool, so I do believe that we should keep it open. And it's a fun summer job for all us teens, and we all love it. It's a great community at the pool. It's so fun.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Jessica Huntington, and I have lived here in Parowan for 12 years. I work at the Iron County Assessor's Office, and I hear people talking every day about the benefits of living in Parowan, and the pool is one of them. I don't know what the growth has been here like exactly. We could figure it out, I'm sure, but there has been an awful lot of new construction in Parowan the last year. And I just think maybe, I don't know what the impact fees are like here, or what the budgeting is, and I also work for the government, so I know that people tend to start blaming everyone when there's a budget problem, so I appreciate you all listening. The other facet of this is that I'm a working mom, and my kids spend 25 hours a week at the pool in the summer, and I can't afford the daycare. I know that's not the problem of everyone else, but it's a really great place for our kids to go in the summer. As well as our elderly population, they have a whole hour in the morning reserved every day for open swim, where it's just the elderly that can come in and have the whole pool to themselves. It's a great way for them to exercise and stay healthy, and that's been a huge concern during this COVID outbreak. Everybody knows that we're all trying to do everything we can to protect our generation of elderly people, so I think that's another really important factor in keeping the pool open. I am also raising a couple of teenagers whose father was lost to suicide, and every day I worry about losing those children to suicide, and having a pool in the summer is a really great way for healthy activity, them to meet up with their friends, stay out of trouble. It's just a really important resource for our community.
Okay, 30 seconds.
Thank you, that's all.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else? Mike, is there anybody else outside? I don't want to cut anybody off. I mean, if anybody wants to comment, please.
You gotta hurry though, I gotta get safety glasses. Can I get a couple minutes?
Yeah, sure. And Bob, I appreciate you clarifying that. Thank you.
That was great.
So Bob Whiteley, I'm a resident here in Parowan. We've been here almost 8 years, and we've supported the pool every year. I have 4 boys, and I actually am a numbers guy, so I keep track of when we go to the pool, and it's a lot. I'm surprised. You know, the pass is affordable for a family, and my kids, my 11-year-old now, I just texted my wife, and I said, let Nico know the pool is closing, and she wrote back, he says no, exclamation point. And I said, bring him here so he can tell the council. I think what people don't realize is you have voted to close the pool. And you reiterated it last meeting, that you voted to close the pool. So, unless something major changes with you guys, which I've seen before, this building is a good example. You voted to put it on Main Street, and you changed your decision to have it here. You voted to have a sports complex at Lions Park. You changed your mind and that's not there. So it is possible for the council to change their mind. I think, you know, I have condos up in Bryan Head, and some of them have pools, some don't. We kind of got snickered into one where we lost our pool, and they kind of threatened us and said, hey, if we don't close the pool, here's what it's going to cost, da-da-da-da. Please vote to cancel, or to close the pool. And I voted no. Even though it was probably the right decision, it was how they did it is what I was disagreeing with. And I think with this council, I think there's definitely some good points on both ends. You know, my family, if the pool's closed, we're going to find something else to do. You know, we will. It's just how we are. If the pool's open, we'll buy a pass and my kids will swim at the pool. I'll be at the pool. My wife will be at the pool. But what I want to say is how things are done, the misconception is sometimes what I'm against. And I think how the council decided to close the pool this time wasn't the correct decision to make without getting that report that was mentioned. The pool was up to code last year.
30 seconds.
When they made the changes to open it. I think it's safe enough for my kids to swim in there. You know, I think the public just deserves a little bit of time and consideration of how it was presented. But like I said, you guys already voted to close it. So unless something major changes like this building or the sports complex or the pool, I think we might be in luck. I think we can have the pool open and continue the progress of getting a new pool. Our family will support Parowan City regardless. So we hope that you change your mind and open the pool for my kids' sake. Thank you so much for what you do. It's a thankless job. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Bob.
Thanks, Bob.
Anyone else before we move on? right, we'll go ahead and move on to our consent meeting. Do I have a motion to approve agenda items 1 through 2?
Thank you so much. Moving on. Yeah.
I make a motion that we approve consent items 1 through 2.
I second.
Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, we'll move on into the action meeting. Agenda item number 3, Sexual Assault Awareness Month. Canyon Creek Services, and we're going to turn the time over to Katie Bronson Cook.
He's back. Has it been a year since
It's a good group.
I should get involved.
Nice and wet up here for my papers to stick to.
You can thank Mike for that.
Yeah, I know. It warmed my heart to see him come up every time and wipe it down.
We're not done yet.
No, I'm just going to watch the whole time. Like was said, my name is Kaylee Bronson Cook. I am the Awareness and Prevention Director at Canyon Creek Services, formerly Canyon Creek Women's Crisis Center. I just want to take a pause really quick because today we're going to be talking about violence prevention and how to keep our communities safe and how to keep our communities strong. And I think it is so cool that I just watched 30 minutes of concerned citizens who care about their community, who are coming together and they want to make their community better, and they may disagree about that and they may have different perspectives about that, but that's actually a little bit about what we're going to be talking about today. That kind of spirit of caring about your community and wanting your community to be safe and being actively involved in how your community operates, that kind of stuff that we just witnessed in this room is the kind of stuff that protects us from domestic and sexual violence. So I'll get off my soapbox on that subject. But I'm here today because I know it feels like I was just here, because I was in October. I think I actually was here in September, about October, which is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. But I'm here today to talk about April. You're actually our first presentation. We're making the rounds to all of the city councils and county commissions. So, you know, you're our guinea pigs, I guess. So April is Sexual Assault Awareness Month, and I'm just going to talk to you a little bit about, I know that maybe for the council members this will be a little bit of a refresher because a lot of the information is similar, but there are a lot of really wonderful community members here that want to have this information as well. So next slide, please, Cali. So Canyon Creek Services, like I mentioned, we changed our name 3 years ago this summer from Canyon Creek Women's Crisis Center. We did that for a plethora of reasons. The biggest reason is just because it wasn't really reflective of the services that we offer to the community. We used to just be an emergency shelter for women and children fleeing domestic violence, and we have grown. And part of that growth is that we provide services to individuals who've experienced sexual assault. We serve men, we serve children, we serve anybody and everybody who's been impacted by these things, and we're also working to create environments where violence, both domestic violence and sexual assault, are not tolerated. You can see at the top of this slide, our vision is communities free of domestic violence and sexual assault. And so we've seen tremendous growth in the past 4 years. People are interested to know that we employ nearly 40 people. We're a pretty large operation. We have 6 different departments, and we're working hard every day to try to keep our community safe and try to address some of these really difficult problems in our community, and it's going to take all of us working together to make that vision a reality. So next slide, Callie. So I get asked all the time, my job is to make sure people know about Canyon Creek and who we are and what we do. And so the short answer to that question is that at Canyon Creek Services, we provide both intervention and prevention services. So the intervention services are any of the services that we provide to individuals who have already experienced domestic violence or sexual assault. And so what we're trying to do with intervention services is we're trying to address survivors' needs, whatever that may be. So that might be housing, or maybe they need a job, or maybe they do need an emergency shelter. We operate a 24-hour hotline, accompanying a client to court, accompanying them to a medical exam. And so these are all the types of intervention services that we provide. And on the other hand, we also provide prevention services, community education, to try to, like I said earlier, we're trying to create communities where violence is not tolerated and it's not an accepted part of life and people don't have to experience this. And I know that that is a big goal. It sounds unrealistic, and it sounds really difficult, and I understand it's not going to happen overnight, but it really is, it's just like 0 fatalities. It's like the only acceptable goal, right? The only acceptable goal is communities free of domestic violence and sexual assault. Next slide, please, Cali. Uh-oh. Oh, you're good. Perfect. So people often ask me, how many people do you help? And so because we're a nonprofit organization, we operate on a July 1 to July 1 fiscal year. And so last year, really July 1 of 2019 to July 1 of 2020, we served 770 people. Important for the presentation today, we served 219 individuals who've experienced sexual assault. Also an interesting number is the 165 people we served in our shelter. And so out of the 770 people that we served, only 165 of them accessed our shelter. So most people that we serve are living in the community, right? They're your neighbors, they're sitting next to you at church, right? They're not maybe, I just like to show this because I think it kind of shifts the stereotypes that we have in our head about what someone who's experiencing domestic violence or sexual assault looks like. So that's that. You can see the other statistics on there. Next slide, Cali. So I'm here today to talk about Sexual Assault Awareness Month, and I promise I do have specific action items for the council, but I think that understanding some of these things is really important. So sexual violence is kind of the umbrella term that we include. That includes sexual harassment, sexual assault, sexual abuse, rape. All of those words are kind of, sexual violence is the umbrella term. And so that is defined as pressuring, coercing, or forcing someone to do anything sexual that they are not comfortable with or do not consent to. Like I said, it includes those 4 terms. It's important to recognize that sexual violence is never the victim's fault. I think it's easier for some people in their brains, I know it was for me at one point in my life before I worked at Canyon Creek, to try to justify, you can't understand how somebody could do this to another person, and so you put blame on the person who experienced it. They say, oh, well, they shouldn't have been wearing that, or they shouldn't have been drinking, or they shouldn't have gone to that party, or they shouldn't be hanging out with those kinds of people, because it's easier to blame the victim than it is to put all the responsibility and recognize that there are people that do this to other people in our community. So, soapbox done. Next slide, please. I'm not going to read all these, mostly because they're all incredibly depressing. All of them, what they're trying to get across is that sexual assault is incredibly common. In Utah, 1 in 6 women and 1 in 25 men will experience rape or attempted rape in their lifetime. One that is shocking to some people is that in Utah, almost 90% of rape victims know the perpetrator. So there's a very real myth of someone hiding in the bushes, going to jump out and get you. That is not the case 90% of the time. Most perpetrators of sexual violence are people that they know, spouses, boyfriends, friends, acquaintances. Something that also is, people get surprised about is that rape is actually the only violent crime, that says violence, but violent crime in Utah that happens at a higher rate than the national average. So every other violent crime happens at or below the national average in Utah except rape, which is very disturbing. Next slide, please. The good news is, now that I've thoroughly depressed everyone, that prevention is possible. Like I mentioned earlier, sexual violence, it is a community public health issue, and it can be prevented. I think we have an idea in our head of sexual violence as an individual issue, but it really is a public health, it's a community issue. It impacts all of us, even if we're not the victim directly or if we don't know the victim directly. So, next slide, please, Cali. So this is just what we call the spectrum of prevention. So I think when I say prevention, a lot of people think of community education, like what I'm doing here tonight, which is incredibly important. But this can look like a whole plethora of different things. So for example, Tanisha, my staff, and I can both tell you, we worked really hard in this past Utah legislative session, the past couple months, advocating for policy that would, pieces of policy and legislation that would support survivors and support prevention, support funding for agencies like ours. We have On the yellow one, you can see fostering coalitions and networks. We have a really robust and active violence prevention coalition. Chief Berg sits on that coalition, and lots of other community stakeholders do. Anybody and everybody is welcome to join that coalition and be a part of that change with us. Next slide, please, Callie. So, the elephant in the room, I think I talked about this last time as well. So, I know that when I say sexual violence prevention, that a lot of people have in their head what are actually risk reduction strategies. So, messages that focus on personal safety or somebody's protection from perpetrators are not prevention. That reduces risk. Prevention addresses the root causes of why people are trying to hurt other people in the first place, which is a lot harder to do. I wish I would be the first one to be on board and say, you know what, let's just have everyone take a self-defense class and everyone carry pepper spray and everyone just be ready to fight off a perpetrator at any given moment. But we know that it can be a helpful tool to keep people safe, or to help them feel safe and help keep themselves safe, protect themselves. But like I said, it doesn't address the root causes of why violence is happening in our communities. It's addressing it after the fact, after it's already happening, right? And it's not to say that they are bad strategies or that they're not helpful, but that's not what we're talking about when we're talking about prevention. We're really trying to address the reasons why people are hurting other people. When we say at Canyon Creek Services, our vision is communities free of domestic violence and sexual assault, we're not talking about communities where everybody is ready to fight off another person at any given moment. We're talking about communities that don't have perpetrators. And I know that that's a radical shift in how we operate and how we think about domestic and sexual violence, but it's so important. Next slide, please, Callie. So, when we do prevention, essentially what we're trying to do is address risk and protective factors, and they're just what they sound like. Risk factors increase the likelihood that violence will happen, and protective factors decrease that likelihood. So on the next slide, I did not have this for you last time, so this is new information. Our cedar, my goodness, stepping back, I'm getting ahead of myself. Iron County Cedar, no. Canyon Creek Services Violence Prevention Coalition, we put out a survey last year after Domestic Violence Awareness Month because we really wanted to identify priority risk and protective factors for violence in our area. So we had a long list of factors from national resources and organizations as well as state organizations, the Utah Department of Health. And then we wanted to hone that in even more and really say, okay, what are the key things that we as a community need to focus on? This data is specifically for Iron County, and so those are our priority risk factors, and those are our priority protective factors. Those are the things that we're trying to work on, that we as a community need to work on. And we, like I said, we invite anybody and everybody to join that coalition, any council members, any community members who are here that would like to participate. I'm going to put up my contact information at the end, but if you want to be a part of the solution, this is a great way to do that. Next slide, please, Callie. So, let's skip this side. They're the same two slides. So, I always get asked, okay, now that I know, how can I get involved? And I've kind of already mentioned it, but next slide, please, Callie. So, like I mentioned, you can join the Canyon Creek Services Violence Prevention Coalition. You can email prevention@canyonCreekServices.org. Lots of different examples of ways that you can support what we're doing, but two of maybe the easiest ways is to join that coalition. Just shoot us an email and we'll add you to the coalition email list. And then the last one, you can follow us at Sea Creek Services on social media. We share lots of opportunities if you want to donate or if you want to volunteer or if there's something that you want to do within your sphere of influence to get involved and to help us in achieving our vision, then that's the places to do that. Next, please. Alrighty, so now it's to the nitty-gritty for the council. So Sexual Assault Awareness Month began, it's actually not that long ago, 2001. This year is Sexual Assault Awareness Month's 20th anniversary. The purpose of Sexual Assault Awareness Month is to raise awareness of sexual assault and address how individuals and communities can prevent it from happening. Proclamations from local, state, and federal government agencies increase public awareness and promote prevention efforts. So I have 3 requests for the council today. 1, we have drafted a Sexual Assault Awareness Month proclamation for Parowan City. We have banners that we hung up, similar to the ones that we hung up in October on Main Street. We have similar ones the pictures will be here soon. and we'll need approval from y'all for that, from Southern Utah, y'all. And that was really professional of me. And the third one is we'd like to do the Clothesline Project again at your Main Street gazebo, and we've got pictures of that as well, if you could click through, Cali. So these are our Main Street banners, they're pole banners. Due to a mix-up on the printing people's end, they came in one-sided, but Parowan people are crafty, and when we gave them the one-sided banners, they just stapled those suckers together, so we're good to go. So we've got double-sided banners now. Right. So these are the banners that will be hung up hopefully on Main Street with your approval. Next slide, please, Cali. This is the Clothesline Project that we did last year. The Clothesline Project is a national campaign to raise awareness about both domestic violence and sexual assault, but obviously we focus a little more on sexual assault because we do it during April. This is a project of our Violence Prevention Coalition, and we want to make sure that people know that sexual assault is a problem everywhere, even in Southern Utah and our communities in Parowan, that there's help available, and that there are people that are actively working to try to get rid of violence in our communities as well. So, next slide. So like I said, you can follow us on social media. We post a lot on there about different things that we're doing, how to get involved, how to contact us. So if anybody's interested, it's at Sea Creek Services. And then the last slide is just my contact information. And if any of the council members have any questions about the three requests, the pole banners, the Proclamation, and the Clothesline Project, I'd be happy to answer those things. We just need your go-ahead.
All right, thank you. So we just need a motion?
I make a motion that we support the Canyon Creek Services and hang the banners, do all the things that we like to do, and we're grateful for you to come present this program again to us, and we want to support you in any way we can. So thank you for all you do.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
I second.
All right, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you all so much for having us.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll move on to agenda item number 5. Agenda item number 4, Parowan Coalition, Southwest Behavioral Health Center, Utah, and we'll turn the time over to Breanne Veeder.
I keep bumping into that.
Is she here, Mike?
Here?
Breanne Veeder.
That's for you, I think, Meredith.
Okay. Okay. All right, we'll go ahead and we'll call out one again before we close. So we will go on to agenda item number 5. We'll turn the time over to Cleve Matheson, and this is a letter of support for the Iron County 5-mile project.
Mayor, I was contacted by Mr. Mike Worthen from the county. They have taken on that project of restoring the 5-mile, getting it back open into a picnic area, working with the Dixie National Forest, and I know they were exploring a property exchange and whatever, and I don't think they've got that far, but they're going to apply for a grant and just need a letter of support from us and just general support that we want to make that happen and continue to keep that project. It's a big project after that flood to dig that out. So he just simply asked, he's going to put the grant in, the letter stated next week. We can get that drafted, get it signed, and get it over to him so he can add that to his packet.
Okay, so just the letter of support, which I think we all support that, so.
With just a question, the letter of support, but I don't think we can commit any financial.
Committing any financial, it's just a letter of support.
Not yet, but that was in his statement. He wrote that Commissioner Cousins would be reaching out with the mayor to further any partnership that we had, but this is just a letter of support to go after that grant, and we'll support it with staff and equipment if
we can still work out if you want to do something in kind or some.
Absolutely, yeah, I'm sure that's what their intent was.
Okay.
All right, so do I have a motion to draft a letter to support Iron County in their 5-mile endeavor?
I make a motion that we issue a letter of support to the county in regards to the Vermilion Castle picnic area by Mo to show our support for their efforts.
I'll second it.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, we'll move on to agenda item number 6, in the work meeting, cemetery ordinance, policies and procedures.
Has everybody reviewed it since Justin reviewed it and sent it back? There's a couple of questions on the definition of resident, non-resident. Cali, do you have, after Justin and I talked, we kind of put a statement together that could be added in there, and it would...
Is this the only change?
That's the main, well, there were some shalls and wills and may and must that were...
No, I made quite a few changes, but, generally, when you have ordinances and it's a mandate, you do shall and not must, so I changed them to shall, just so they meet the codified coders. I took out some of the things where it talks about Heroin shall do certain things that you really don't have the ability or shouldn't bind your future councils. I think it's more appropriate to say Parowan City will reasonably care for the cemetery and do what you've been doing for all these years, so. I just cleaned up some of the language and went through and took care of it and sent it back.
Any discussion? I make a motion. We're not approving this one, no. Okay.
No.
One other point we discussed was, with staff was, resale. Do you have that, Councilman Shurtleff?
Yes, it's 13.16.030, Section C, restriction on resale. It states, resale of burial rights is prohibited. Unused burial rights that are no longer needed or wanted will be transferred back to Parowan City for the amount paid less administrative fees set by resolution. In the event the purchase cannot be determined, Parowan City will buy back the burial right for not more than $100. The part that brought up some concern in talking to Cleve was paragraph 1, where it says burial right exchange. Parowan City will allow exchanges of burial rights in the event that a person...
You're too far, Cali. ...
wishes to exchange the name on an unused burial right with another name, and new rights of burial issued. An administrative fee will be charged as set forth in the fee schedule. I think that we need to eliminate that paragraph completely. I think it opens up kind of a loophole in what we're trying to prevent.
Which paragraph are you looking to
burial rights exchange, number 1 under paragraph C. Well, just that one right there, burial right exchange. I think we, in talking to Cleve, he thinks that perhaps it's and I agree with him, that by eliminating that, it goes back to the first paragraph, which means that any unused burial right comes back to the city.
Right, because this would let them just exchange.
Exactly, and that's one of the things that we want to prevent, that...
Yeah, this says...
I agree. So I think that if we eliminate that paragraph completely, it will clean up the whole idea of...
and you can certainly take your time and work an amendment in there, and in addition to, or... This is just the work meeting, the final, getting through this final draft. Okay. I'd just like you to look at that real close.
That one contradicts, doesn't it?
A little bit. Justin, have any thoughts on that?
Well, I'm trying, I think I understand what you're trying, well, what I'm trying to understand is you're saying, as a Parowan resident, you have a right, now that we cleaned that up, that you have a right to, you want me to get closer?
Okay. I just contaminated it. No, just kidding. As burial rights, the earlier one, I had a problem because I was reading, I thought, the way I was reading it was you were giving non-residents better treatment than you were giving residents. And once Cleve and I talked it through, we were able to clean that up a little bit and say, you know, if you're a resident, you have the right to buy one for your household, so you can buy one for yourself, one for your spouse, and then one for each of your children, in their individual names. I presume what you're saying here on the burial rights exchange is, let's say, I get a divorce and I marry someone else, and that someone else I marry isn't the same person I married that's on that burial certificate. I assume what you're saying is this person, you want to be able to take that, this person wants to take that off and put his new wife on there to be buried next to him. So I assume that's what you're doing. So if you take that away, how do you make up for that situation? That's the only real situation where I can see that would occur.
Revert back to the city, and the city would then sell it to the new wife.
Yeah. So
why are we selling twice, though?
Well, no, because what you're doing is you get this back, then they buy it.
Well, I get it, but so I pay $300 for a plot, and then I get a divorce, $300, and then you buy it $100 back, and I got to pay another. No, that's not $100. It's what you paid. If you can't establish what was paid, that's the maximum. All right. So if that's the case, then I know better. But the transfer, what you're saying is you just want to track it back to the city and then back to another person. The problem being is owning 6 lots in an individual name, which is the case. Right, and so we fixed that up there. To a non-resident. Yeah, we fixed that up there, so I get that. So that's why everything is tracked back through the state, so this number one, after we started looking at and asking staff how are they gonna implement that, they're like, well, this could open a can of worms, why do we even have that? Let's just go back through and that protects the residents from, the existing residents right now is what we're trying to make sure we have places to live.
Consistency in the process. All exchanges are unused goes through the city. It just makes...
If it becomes a huge problem, then we amend it. But it could create a loophole with some certain ownerships out there right now could be a problem. I'm fine with you removing it.
I just take it out.
I just didn't want to get hit with $100 if I had $300, and then I'd be a little ticked. Because we've got they go back a long ways. We've got a lot of records. Oh, I know. It's just some of them have been passed down through generations, and maybe they only paid $5. Or a sheep, in his case. But at least we put a monetary value on if they no longer want that. And there's a lot of just individual lots out there that maybe somebody wants to turn back in. The reality is, under your state code, you don't have to pay anything back. If you've got lots that are over, I believe it is 60 years, and you send out your reasonable notices, and this family has died off or they're not there anymore, there is a process through the state that you can take those back and resell them to fill up your cemetery. The problem is you build a cemetery, it costs maintenance fees to take care of that cemetery. And if you've got a bunch of old parts of your cemetery that it's only a quarter full because you can't find the people that were born 100 years ago, there needs to be a process to take that back so you can keep your costs of your perpetual care fund down so you can take care of them. And the state set up a process so you can do that. It's a little bit kind of a pain, but it works. Yeah.
I think we take it out. Just take it out,
too.
Cleve. Well, then when we review it again,
we can send this back to you with that.
Then when we go to accept it, we can put some other question.
Yeah. Do some grammar check.
Yeah. Does that automatically pick it up?
Yeah. As you reviewed this, anybody else have any questions that popped up? No, I did want to point out, I thought it was well written on some areas of the fact that you allow, if a person's cremated, you allow 3 people to be buried in one plot. I actually just ran across that last week with someone who came into my office, and they're moving back to Illinois, or when they die, they want to have their remains taken back to Illinois,
and they're able to put their mother, himself, and his wife in that one plot, and they don't have a lot of money, so it's great that you're allowing that to happen, and you try to make it affordable so families can, I mean, funerals are expensive, no matter how you look at it, so.
That's the purpose.
Yeah. So just have that removed and bring back for an action meeting next council meeting?
Okay.
Okay?
I made several changes, so you ought to read it. You may not agree with my changes, so.
Okay.
Didn't find any.
All right, any other further discussion on that?
I'll get it resubmitted to you.
Okay, thanks, Clint. All right, we'll move on to agenda item number 7, and this is the Parowan swimming pool discussion, agenda item A, pool committee. And what this was is there were a couple of council members that contacted me after the last council meeting and thought that it would be a really good idea to get public input with the pool as far as the direction that the public wanted to go. And I agreed. I thought that was a great idea. And so, with the council's consent, I'd like to put a committee together. This would involve probably 3 or 4 members of the community and 1 or 2 council members that would want to sit on that. What do you guys think about that?
I think it's
great, yeah. Yeah, that's great.
And on this committee, a lot of the issues that were brought up tonight would be, that's the reason for this committee, is so that these items or these concerns would be addressed. So I do appreciate everybody's comments tonight. Believe me, they are heard, and we want what's best for the community of Parowan and the citizens. And it's a hard call because my kids use that pool. I grew up using that pool, and I know other council members, their families use that pool too. So if it's okay with the council, we'll if anybody has any names that they would like to submit to me, then we'll try to get that on the next council meeting also.
How many people would you like to serve on this?
Yeah.
What's that?
How many people are you going to have serve on the committee?
I would like a 5-member committee and at least 1 council member.
I think it should be Councilman Burton, since he's
Dave's the one that's been heading this up, and he's already done a lot of research into the pool and done a lot of stuff that way, so I would agree with that. So if any council members or if any citizens would like to submit names, please contact me through the city or personally, and we'll put that together and hopefully have that presented for next council meeting. And then Cali public input. So we've received several emails from citizens in the community, and as far as the direction that they would like to go, as far as inside, outside, and Cali has those figures right now, so.
Yeah, these are the emails we collected as of yesterday morning at 11 a.m. We had 9 responses in favor of an outdoor seasonal pool. Sorry, I should have divided this so I could see easily. We had 22 responses for an indoor year-round pool, and we had 15 who just want a pool, either indoor or outdoor. That's fine. And then since that time, we received 3 more responses through email on my email or through the city website. One just asked that the pool be that the council consider keeping the pool open this year. They need activities for kids, and the updates that were completed last year were to extend the life of the current pool. This family expressed
that they keep the pool open, didn't really talk about what kind of pool they would like. And then, this person thinks we should build a new pool facility that can be used 12 months out of the year, and ask that the city do research to find affordable options to create a new facility that will benefit kids, families, and older generations as well. And I'll submit these to you. I'll scan them and send them to you so you can read those. I'll also put them on the website. Or actually, they are on the website, so because I stuck them in with my packet when I put that on there. So if you're interested in reading the responses we have received through email and through our website, those are here. There were a lot of responses on the Facebook page. I didn't screenshot those because I'm not very tech savvy and didn't really know how to do that, but our Facebook page, there were a lot of responses there. So that's what I have.
Okay. All right, Cali, thank you. All right, we'll move on to council reports. Craig, do you have anything?
I attended a Valley water users meeting today. Councilman Shirtliff also attended. They got together a committee of 7. It's to address the following water table and what the state engineer's intent on possibly cutting water shares. We're getting a water management plan together, and so we are, Kelly, myself, Councilman Shirtliff, are to all those meetings to represent the city on that. Justin, have you seen the city or the Cedars Conservation Plan? Have you read Cedar City's water conservation plan for the underground?
No. The only one I'm familiar with is Central Iron County Water Conservancy District.
I received the one, it's kind of a rough draft that they're putting together. They're thinking the timeline is very short, like a year, it's got to be submitted. I'll get it to you so you can see and make any recommendations to help protect.
This is the one that's being required by the state now?
Yes, it is.
Yeah,
I just got another draft of that. I'll forward that on to you and Councilman Shirtliff and see for your input. We have another meeting scheduled. It's an open public meeting for the...
Didn't they say April 6th?
April 6th, yes. That's the one that's going to be here in town, and then they have one at the state engineer's office that they can only take so many representatives, and I think they've got 7.
They're taking account of
because of the limited space, and that they'll actually be meeting with the state engineer who's going to be there, so that's what we're moving through.
Anything else then? Okay.
Well, I have one thing on that also. It's really important we did that and put it together. If we do a shoddy job with that, if not just us, if all the cities do a shoddy job, I've been told that never-ending proposal to require meeting of secondary water systems is coming back again next year. If that happens, you won't be building the pool for the next 20 years because you'll be spending $5 million on your water metering system for your pressurized irrigation. So, again, they tabled it this year, it didn't get out of committee, but my understanding is there's going to be a big push forward again next year. So,
blanket that on the state, or are they going to still exempt the county, the 5th and 6th class?
I don't know. I just heard there's going to be a push forward again. So, but I think this has a lot to do with it. If they can see that we're attempting to conserve and doing those things, then certainly that may stave this off. I don't know how long they'll stave it off, because with the growth that we're having, especially up north, they're running out of water, and you know what's coming. Hopefully they won't include our counties, the 5th and 6th class counties, but it's important to do this conservation deal right so that maybe we can keep them off our backs. But if not,
That's all you'll be paying for the next 20 years.
Thanks, Justin.
It goes on.
Contact your representatives and tell them no on that. Patty, do you have anything?
Yeah, I want to talk about PALS for a minute. We are now attempting to build a new unit here in Parowan. It will be moved from the current location, and what we are going to attempt to do is raise as much money as possible, and of course we have to stay where we're at till we can get this done. But we had Mike and Cleve were there for the meeting, and lots of good ideas on how to get some money. And things that would really elevate things that we do in the community. I mean, they're talking about having motorized lawnmowers, having races with those out in the big parks and things like that, and I think it would draw a lot of participation and it could make us some money. So that was productive. And then the theater board, they really are just getting started with the new commander in there now, so we didn't have a whole lot that we talked about. We're still waiting on the budget meeting because Jet's still been ill, so we haven't got that all sewn together yet, but
Okay.
that should come within the next couple of weeks.
Okay. All right, Jim, do you have anything?
One comment. Hey, Patty, can you remind them to get me those shelf sizes that they were proposing so we can get those?
We talked about that tonight.
Did they get those actual sizes they need yet?
I think that she did. I don't know if she's
Okay,
gotten it to Jen.
Get it to me and I'll get
it to you.
because there's some,
Okay.
we do have some available.
Okay.
We had an economic development meeting a week ago. Molly, we went over kind of our agenda and reiterated the different things that we're working towards, but the big one we discussed was the Old Rock Church, and that committee has been chosen. And I think last week they met with the Heritage Committee, and so we should start seeing some results there. Cleve has applied for the grant.
Can I clarify, they said that there's enough on those grants that they will not be able to award full grants. They anticipate them being a little less than the full amount, but they think they can fund most of them, so be expecting that. It probably won't be the full 10,000.
Okay. Well, we'll have to do with what we get.
Right.
But anyway, Ken's in the process too, of getting the committee together so we can decide how much money we need to gather in order to hire an architect, so that we can start the process working towards restoring the Old Rock Church, and so that'll be forthcoming. And then Power Board, we don't meet till this Thursday, so that's all I have.
Thank you. Matt, do you have anything?
No, just Power Board for next week.
Okay. Dave, do you have anything?
Yes, the Heritage Foundation met on Tuesday, March 2nd, had their beginning annual meeting. They did for their office, even though the Heritage Foundation is kind of independent of the city. I mean, everything they do benefits the city, and we need to recognize their efforts and everything that they do, because they provide a great service to the community. They mentioned that they're going to have a work party meeting, or I guess a work party. They're tentatively got it planned for May 1st at the Heritage Park. So if it doesn't get canceled like last year and so forth, then they're going to try and have that annual cleanup at the Heritage Park on May 1st. Yeah, we just need to recognize that, I've really found out what that Heritage Foundation really does, and they need to be commended. On Wednesday, March 3rd, the planning and zoning canceled because Ryan Robinson was going to address the commission regarding the general plan that the council has approved, funding for, and because of Ryan's father's death, and so they decided to cancel that evening. Thursday, March 4th, the Rock Church Committee met, or Jim Shirtliff and I were there, and they discussed fundraising for the restoration of the Rock Church and what to do with the artifacts, and discussed construction or acquisition of a building to house the artifacts. And I don't know, Jim, they said it'd be what, could be $3 million?
Yeah, that's what they're talking about, to restore to meet the state standards, ADA compliant, all of that. They're talking.
That was to build the museum too.
That was to acquire, yeah, some sort of building to house the DUP artifacts while the restoration of the Old Rock Church is going on.
That's seismic retrofit too, Jim.
Yeah, it's the whole, whole thing. And the discussion was, the city owns the Old Rock Church, but all of the artifacts belong to the DUP. And if we follow state guidelines, not to take over,
go ahead,
that the discussion was, what do we do with the artifacts? Because if we restore the Old Rock Church the way the state wants, then it's returned to the meeting house format, not as a museum for the DUP. So the discussion centered around restoring the Old Rock Church, plus providing some building to display the DUP artifacts. And it's, Ken brought up the idea of one of the fundraising suggestions he had was the brick pavers, you know, like they did when the Olympics came, or what's down at the Veterans Monument in Cedar, where you buy a brick and put your name and family or whatever you want. And Ken has a site plan from the state about how the whole thing would look at the Rock Church, you know, the brick pavers around, make it really nice. And if I know anything about computers, to send the site plan that Ken gave us on it. Do you know how to do that, David? Can you send that?
No.
Okay. The dinosaur council arrives again.
Cali, I need to tell me how can help.
And Palm Pilot is not working. But it really a good idea of how important, how iconic that building is, and what we have to do to save it. But it's,
well, those artifacts are important.
Absolutely.
The problem is if they don't know if they want to, you know, if they move them and store them and then restore the church and then put them back, then you've got that process of moving them, disturbing them, and having them under an uncontrolled environment and things.
And the state talked about that the money should be to restore the Rock Church, not to restore the display area for the DUP, and so there is that conflict. But we've got to come up with some way to do both. Either build an auxiliary building or find somewhere where we can,
we're purchasing one,
buying one or something, but there's lots of things on the city's plate.
Yeah.
So, yes.
Something about the bricks, and I did a program at the elementary school with the bricks gym, and we were able to raise $30,000 at the elementary school doing those bricks. And it's a really project, I'll be more than happy to help you. The hardest part is getting them to build.
Yeah, and
It is so hard to sell them in this community.
and that's kind of what Ken said, that if we, what did he say, 9,000?
9,000 bricks
So at $300 a piece, we'd have enough to...
Yeah.
7,000.
They take something like that, the Heritage Park.
Yeah.
Heritage still has roof that continues.
Yeah.
But, I mean, that is, and there's 9,000 people around the country that love Parowan that would do that. Yeah, that would do that.
brick.
Yeah. What was that, Dave?
I'm not finished, I mean.
I know, I was gonna come back to you, I promise.
Go ahead.
I've been quiet.
Are you done? I'm sorry, I was just helping you. Thank you.
All right, it's your,
Oh, I was just gonna say, no, Jim can finish up when you get to him, but on Thursday, March 4th, the Shade Tree Commission met, but we didn't have enough members to form a quorum, so we talked outside about project needs and you know, the Meeks Pond and some water line, different things, funding grants, Tree City USA, but this is the thing, we need some members for that committee.
okay.
We need members for that committee. They're going to have a pruning demonstration by Ryan Johnson on March 19th at 5 p.m. at the Meeks Park. And anybody can come. Everybody's invited for that.
The 19th?
Anybody in the community or anybody.
And what day is that?
March, Friday, March 19th, 2021.
And what time?
5 p.m.
At Meeks?
Meeks Park. Ryan Johnson, he's the works with the State Forest, Fire and Forestry. He's the one that gave the presentation when I was in quarantine, I guess, so.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah. Okay, oh, and to get back on that Meeks Park, I guess she left. No, Dea's leaving, I'm talking. Anyway, Pauline Applegate. I have got commitments from that irrigation company, that Northfield, they're supposed to meet with me to get this worked out.
Okay.
And I'm still waiting, I mean, I'm on their backs, and we'll get it done. But they said that they will get this done.
Oh, okay, cool.
Okay.
All right, Jim, do you have anything else?
Your turn, Jim. Just, discussion about the Rock Church. Also, did you all get the letter from Nick about the Conex, or the storage?
Yes.
Okay, they are used simply for offloading of the helicopter. They're not permanent. It's in our ordinance, we allow for
Temporary.
Conex temporary during construction,
Yes.
delivery, that sort of thing. So I thought it was very good of him to keep the council informed as to what's going on with those. It's kind of exciting. His 7 helicopters are there now, and I also thought it was good to see the economic impact that our FBO is providing for the city through his business out there.
Yeah, that's good.
And that's the only thing I had since Dave took my
Your time.
Thanks, Jim. Justin, do you have anything?
No, well, I will say this, I got a call from my daughter back in Vermont or Virginia, wherever she's nannying, and said that she had read something about a petition, but I didn't hear any mention of that about the pool. I don't know if you're aware there's a petition going around, that's what she said.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah,
I
we've
didn't know
heard.
if you knew.
Yeah.
That's it.
Up 3 of them.
I'm just calling her and saying, how in the heck did you hear about this? You're in Vermont or Virginia. I don't remember which one.
Didn't you know where your daughter is?
She's nannying for somebody, and I don't remember what the state is. I don't go see her, I just talk to her.
Father of the year, man.
I just talk to her on the phone a lot.
Okay, thanks, Justin. We'll go ahead and just check and see if Brianne Bueller is here before we go ahead and move on for adjournment. Okay. All right. Agenda item number 11, adjournment.
I move we adjourn. I second it.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. I want to thank everybody for coming out tonight. Thank you so much.
I didn't. No, I did. No, I appreciate it because you've had more. Thank you.